Hello and welcome to this webinar. Really hope that you are feeling well, that you and your families are safe. We're going to get started in literally 2 minutes time. We've got well over 1,000 people registered to be on the webinar this evening. So I want to make sure as many of those people can get on. I know that my numbers are going up really fast at the moment. So I'm just going to give them 2 minutes to get on this call. So grab your tea or coffee, grab your water, get out of the way of the person you're going to annoy because they don't want to hear my dulcet tones. Grab your pen and paper because I am going to give you stuff of value that you'll find useful, you want to reflect back on. So grab a pen and paper and we literally will get started in 2 minutes time. So grab all that stuff, 2 minutes time. Okay, good evening and welcome to this evening's webinar. My name's Aran Curry. I know many of you will know who I am already, but some of you may not. So yeah, welcome to this webinar. And the goal of the webinar is to help give as much clarity as I can. Certainty is absolutely key to human beings. Certainty is key to being able to make great decisions and to be able to move yourself forward. And I want to give you certainty. I can't fix every problem, nowhere near it. I can't tell you absolutely everybody's going to be okay because that would be a lie. But I can give you a feel of what I believe is happening, what I believe is going to be happening. And I can try and give you some certainty that you can make really solid decisions from. So thank you for giving up your evening to spend it with me. I am intending to stay on the webinar as long as I possibly can to answer as many property related questions as you've got. So you'll see on the right hand side there's a questions tab. If you want to type any questions that you've got into there, you might want to wait until I've just covered some content because I might answer your question and then you don't need to type it in and I don't need to sift through as many at the end. With over 1,000 of you registered to be on here, then there's likely to be a lot of questions, but I will stay on as long as I can to help you in whatever situation you're in and to help you make a decision to move forward with certainty so you can be in a really great place. And we're going to cover quite a lot of different things tonight. So kind of stemming from the coronavirus and the impact that it's having, we're going to be talking about the property market, and the impact I believe it will have. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't guarantee you anything, but I'll talk you through the economics of that, and some of the research that's been done to back up those things that I'm going to say. We're going to talk about mortgages, how you claim your 3 months holiday, whether you should, whether you shouldn't, what's going on in the mortgage market right now, what's going on with lenders and their situation. We're going to talk about renting and making sure we look after these tenants in the right way so that you keep them long term, but also you maximize the relationship short term for them and for you. So we're going to be talking about that as well, and many other things whilst we're on this webinar, I'm sure. So yeah, so thank you for joining me. And let's get stuck in. And my goal is that you leave this webinar, by the way, A, feeling more certain, B, feeling more confident, not confident because anything's changed, but confident because you're looking at things in a different way, and a way that you know what to do next, and you know what to do next after next after next, the next few steps in your property investing journey and potentially in life as well. And that if that you also leave this webinar, that if you do want to use the next few months to improve your knowledge or improve your skills, that you've got some ideas of how you can do that. And that's not me selling you a load of stuff. I'll just tell you at the end how you might want to challenge your thinking and get yourself thinking a different way, and how you can support yourself doing that over these coming days and weeks. So okay, For those that don't know who this is that's speaking, okay, this is me. This is Aran Curry. I'm the founder of the Insight Group and Made Easy Education. So the Insight Group's a group of companies that come together and all owned by myself and my wife that build people's successful property portfolios. And typically, we're sourcing and purchasing about 30 properties per month for our clients. We've, in the last kind of 11 or 12 years, we've helped our clients to buy over 1,000 investment properties. That's sourcing them, negotiating on them, sorting the solicitor, sorting the mortgage, getting the property bought, tenanting it, and managing it. So, and I've got over 200 properties in my own personal portfolio. Okay. From an education point of view, helped to educate over 100,000 people last year alone, whether that's a webinar like this, a live one-day event with us, you know, people with me, up to a 3-day property mentorship academy with a year-long support. People pay a couple of £1,000s for that, and then right up to my VIP program where people work with me for 2 years, and we guarantee them £1 million portfolio that makes £50,000 a year at the end of it. So, and kind of all points in between. We've even one-to-one coaching up at £40,000 for the year for an hour a week of my time. I'm not sharing this stuff to brag. What I'm doing is saying I've been in the property market for quite a long time now, actually 2 decades. I've kind of been down this road before. Of course, I've not been down the road of being around coronavirus and the issues that it brings. But I'm not someone that's done, you know, bought a couple of properties and set up training, and I'm trying to give you some guidance now. I really, really want to help. I want to help you guys and gals think in a different way and plan correctly and plan in the right way, and not plan from a place of panic, which some people are potentially doing, and understandably doing. Okay, so what we want to do first is, I suppose, cover, you know, we're doing a webinar tonight, and the bottom line is this is a terrible situation for many people, and it may well be you included. There are people in massive pain right now. Okay, emotional, financial, physical. You know, there are people in massive pain, and I suppose I wanted to talk about this early in the webinar. I can kind of keep referencing it all the way through, so you guys get that I get it. You know, but really, what I want to focus on is trying to help you positively move forward. Okay, and to find the right way to positively move forward for your personal situation. You know, and some people aren't feeling much pain at all right now. You know, no one's sick that they know. They're feeling emotionally fine. Their job's really secure. Their income's coming in, and those people are in, you know, they're in a reasonable place. They may still be scared, but they're in a reasonable place. And then you've got people right at the other end of the scale where someone is sick or someone has already passed away, and you know, they're emotionally in a heck of a lot of pain, and then financially things have been exploding for them or their business or what have you. So I get there's kind of all points in between, but what I want to do is focus on kind of not the positives of the situation, but there are positives in every negative situation, but I want to focus on what you can do, some certainty, and then what you do, because the challenge is that fear leads people to freeze. Fear leads people to freeze. And if you freeze in these moments, you end up in a lot of trouble potentially. Okay, we need to be decisive, which is really hard. We need to make decisions and back our decisions, and not let the fear lead us, because the fear leads us and we freeze, that can cause problems. So, you know, where are we? We're in an awful situation, people in pain, as I've said. People are dying and will die that we all know. That is the likelihood. We will all know somebody who has passed away. They may not be an immediate family member or an immediate friend, but there'll be somebody that we know. And that, you know, that's absolutely terrible. That's an awful place for us to be as a society right now. But to be able to serve you, I want to leave that to one side just for now. Please don't think I don't understand what I've just said and don't understand the situation. You know, it can be, people can say, what are you doing talking about property when, you know, when everybody's suffering so much? The reason is I know people are suffering in property, and I know that people will be suffering through property and suffering financially for months to come, and I know ways of helping those people. So that's why we're running this webinar. Okay. Now, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is mindset. okay? And don't worry, we're not going to be here for hours and hours on this for those that don't like it, but mindset is absolutely key. I've already said a few times, human beings like certainty. We also like variety, funnily enough. You know, we don't all want to be certain all the time. We like surprises, but normally we like the surprises we're expecting, not surprises we weren't expecting, like this one. So we like certainty. And you may find in your life right now that you don't have a lot of certainty going on. So what I encourage you to do is start building your foundations again, if that is the case, and putting some certainty in place. And hopefully this webinar will help with that. The bottom line as a human being is what you focus on, you will feel. What is bad is always available. What is good is always available. And again, remember I've said I'm not making light of the situation. It's a terrible situation, but we can choose to focus on all the bad stuff that is happening right now. And you'll just feel terrible. And you'll continue to feel terrible. And you're going to feel terrible for months. Or you can go, wow, isn't it absolutely amazing how the community is pulling together? Isn't it absolutely amazing how people are helping each other out? Isn't it absolutely amazing that you know, my friend's business, where he's had to lay some people off, they're now going to get paid? Isn't that amazing? You know, so there are amazing, unique things happening that will probably change how we live lives in quite some fundamental ways over time to come. But it's easy not to focus on those. You know, Joe Wicks had 1 million people, or just under 1 million people today, jumping up and down doing his exercise classes this morning, all together. That's amazing. And if you focus on that kind of thing and you focus on the connectivity and those people coming together, you'll feel a different way to if you're focusing on panic or focusing on loss or focusing on what's going to be missing in your life right now. So, you know, that's worth printing off and putting on the wall. What you focus on, you feel. If you find yourself feeling bad, I guarantee you'll be focused on some bad stuff. And is it possible to constantly 100% of the time just focus on the good stuff? No, but it is a choice. And many of you will find that hard to hear. I'm not here to sugarcoat it. I'm here to be honest. You choose what you focus on. Some people are better at moving their focus than others, but you choose what you focus on. I'd encourage you to work on that. You need to work on all of this mindset stuff, by the way, to serve you, to serve your family members, your spouse, your loved ones, to serve your kids and your family. If you can be in a better place and you can be a leader in this, if you can step up and show leadership, if you can step up and show people how to focus on the right things, if you can bring certainty to other people by the way you behave, then you're going to help people. Fear right now is more contagious than the virus, and the virus is contagious, don't get me wrong, but fear is spreading so much quicker, and that fear causes so much damage. Okay, so let's get rid of the fear. Let's work on the fear as much as possible. The bottom line, here's a quote that I love: if you cannot control it, do not worry about it. I can't control everything about the virus. I can control whether I get it or not to some degree by doing certain things differently in my life, or lots of things differently in my life. So I can control that. Then I'll worry about it. I can control my own finances and what I'm paying and what I'm not paying. We'll come on to that. I can control how I interact with my tenants, how I interact with my team, my 50 team at work, that we all work together and we're all now working from home, and how we all work together. So I'll worry about those things and I'll think about those things. But I can't control what's happening to the gyms that have shut. Other people can control that, but I can't control that. I can't control, you know, the people that aren't getting paid right now. I can't control whether my tenants get paid or not, but I can control how I work with them. So if you cannot control it, do not worry about it. Only worry about what you can control, and that will help massively. Okay? There is a panic that people will run out of money. The majority of people in the UK are not going to run out of money. Okay? Your tenants are not going to run out of money. Your people you work with are not going to run out of money. Now, some businesses will. Some people will, but the government has stepped in on Friday and said they will pay 80% of any person's wages who gets furloughed. Now, so an employer has the choice now. If they were thinking of laying someone off, they can instead put them on furlough, and that person gets 80%. Whether they end up letting them go later or not, whatever happens to the business, they still get 80%. So those people are not going to run out of money. They're going to be in lockdown shortly, stuck in their house, not able to spend the money. You can't even get a delivery to the house, can you? So you can't get home delivery from Amazon. You can't go spend it all on Amazon. They're actually, some people are going to be better off than they normally are, because they're getting 80% of the salary and they can't go out or do anything else. You know, we've worked out we'll probably spend about a quarter of the spending money we normally spend. I include food within that, and that's all we'll be buying in the coming weeks. So, you know, most people will not run out of money. Some people will, and that will be painful. Some companies will run out of money. Self-employed people at the moment are waiting for more help. I think it will come, but we're still waiting for more help. Those people are at fear of running out of money, okay? But most people will not. So don't have a mindset that says, all my tenants won't be able to pay. What am I going to do when all my tenants don't pay? The odds are maybe one of them won't be able to pay if you've got 5 or 10, but the rest will. And in the scheme of things, if one doesn't pay you for a couple of months and you've got 5, that's 60 months worth of collecting rents this year, and only 2 or 3 months might be missing. You know, in the scheme of things, that's not a big deal. It might cause you some pain short term, but you can work through it, okay? This is a moment in time. If you think about it, for most of us, if you're planning to live for 80 years and this lasts for 6 months, this is 1/160th of your life. Now, right now, in the moment, we're really focused on it, and I get that. But I also want you to remember it is a moment in time. It is a small part of your life, of other people's lives, and help them understand that as a leader. Help your kids understand that. Help your spouse understand that. Help your family understand that. And this will pass. This will pass. Now, there's an absolutely brilliant kind of mantra that we use in my business all the time. You may have come across it. Many people haven't, called or and bed. Okay, or is what I call above the line behavior. This behavior up at the top here, bed is down below the line behavior. So for example, you park on a double yellow line and you get a parking ticket. And I know you've never done this. You've personally never done this, but people will come and they'll say, the flipping traffic warden gave me a parking ticket. And they're really upset that that traffic warden has given them a parking ticket. Okay, so they're upset with the traffic warden. They're basically below the line. They're in blame, excuse, or denial. If you're above the line, you go, do you know what? I parked on a double yellow line. I deserve it. And now I've got choice. I can either choose to park there again and risk it in the future, or I can choose not to avoid the ticket, but it's in my control. It's my choice. Whereas when you're below the line and it's the parking and it's the traffic warden's fault, guess what? You're going to go back and park there again, and you're going to have the same thing happen to you in another year or two, and you're going to get another ticket and be all cross all over again. Okay? So I know you never park on double yellow lines, but friends of yours might do that and might react in that way. Now, to some degree, it's the same with the virus, isn't it? Over these next 3 months, we can have a bad life and we can blame the virus. We can have a bad life and we can make excuses about it. We can even go in denial and go, it's nothing to do with me. I caught the virus. I didn't go out and speak to anybody. It was nothing to do with me. You know, we can go into denial, okay? Or we can own our lives. Now, the virus is a bad thing. It's a really bad thing. But if we take ownership, accountability, and responsibility for our space, for how we live our life in these next 3 months, for how we support other people, for how we support the people around us, for how we commit to our learning so we can support more and more people in the long term, if we take ownership, accountability, and responsibility, we'll get totally different results and we'll feel differently. You know, someone who feels really down or even depressed, they don't like the situation they're in. Their life doesn't equal their blueprint of what they think life should look like. And on top of that, they don't feel they can change it. And if you live below the line, we all go below the line sometimes, but if you live below the line quite a bit, if you're blaming other people or making excuses or denying there's even a problem, if you live below that line and you don't like your life situation, you're in an awful place. You're going to get down. Mental health's going to go the wrong direction. But if you own things, if you take accountability and you take responsibility, even if it's not your doing, you know, if my wife cheats on me, she never will, but if she does, that's my fault. If I own that and I'm accountable for it and I'm responsible for it, I can do something about it. I can choose to forgive and stay with her, or I can choose to leave her, but I'm in control. But if I blame her and make excuses and everything else, she did cheat on me. She didn't cheat for no reason. She cheated because I wasn't a good enough husband. I wasn't stepping up to the plate. That's the difference between taking ownership or blaming. Okay. So by the way, my wife does not cheat. She's a great woman. So I would encourage you to think about this: ownership, accountability, and responsibility. And I'd encourage you to think about getting certainty, what you focus on, you feel. And if you can't control it, do not worry about it. If you can't control it, do not worry about it. This moment will pass, okay? Doesn't feel like that right now, but this moment will pass, okay? So let's move on and start to talk about the market and house prices. You know, what the heck is going to happen to house prices? Now, like I said at the start of this webinar, I don't have a crystal ball. So I can't guarantee you that definitely X is going to happen or definitely Y is going to happen, okay? And you shouldn't just take my predictions and take them as gospel, okay? Because I don't have that crystal ball. But what I do is I study the world's greats. People like Ray Dalio. Many of you would have even heard of Ray Dalio, but for example, when the credit crunch hit, Ray Dalio predicted it coming before it came, and Ray Dalio was one of the men that the governments all around the world turned to get advice on what was happening, and get advice on what they should do, what policies they should put in place, what actions they should take. Ray manages his business, Bridgewater in the US, manages over 160 billion pounds worth of funds. That was back in 2017. Probably grown a lot since then. It might have shrunk in the last the last few days or few weeks, but Ray Dalio, just massive genius in terms of money. So I study Ray Dalio, I study people like Warren Buffett, I study what the masters are doing, and I learn from them, okay? Now, the period that we're about to go into, or that we're starting to go into now, is different to the credit crunch and is different to the Great Depression back in 1920, okay? The main reason that it is different, there are a few reasons which I'm going to cover, but the main reason that it's different is when you think about the credit crunch and you think about the Great Depression, the Bank of England, for us, or the monetary policy, was able to drop interest rates to control things to some degree. We didn't have a long way to be able to drop them this time, okay? So that's kind of out the window. But what is different this time versus those other times that we talk about, the policymakers are making very different decisions. So right now, the government is throwing money at the problem, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean they are literally committing, they're putting their hand in their pockets, or the proverbial pockets, and they are piling billions and billions of pounds into the economy to try and see us through, okay? Now, let's break this down a little bit. If you think about the next 3 or 4 months, first of all, we're going to end up in lockdown. It may even happen tonight. I personally wouldn't be surprised if we go into lockdown tonight. If not for me, it's happening this week. Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but we're going into lockdown. People are not going to be allowed out unless you're food shopping or picking up drugs. You're staying home. Now, from that point of view, if you think about what moves the market, the housing market, or any market, you've got supply and demand. When those two equal each other and there's good supply and there's good demand, you have a buoyant market, okay? If demand goes up significantly, if you imagine me with my hands in the air, demand has gone up massively and supply stays the same. So there's more demand for something, toilet rolls, supply stays the same, okay? The price of toilet rolls goes up. You looked on Amazon last week, the price of toilet rolls went up. Same with house prices. You know, if the demand is a lot higher than the supply, the prices go up. The opposite is true. If the demand drops dramatically and the supply stays the same, then the housing market drops significantly. One of the things that's different now is both demand and supply will drop. No one is going to go in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to put my house up for sale now and get the estate agent round. That's not going to happen in the next 2 weeks when we're in lockdown. So the supply of new property coming onto the market is going to drop, as does demand. Now, demand is likely to drop more than supply because there are some people that still need to sell their houses right now. They've got them up for sale, they've not sold, and they're going to be experiencing pain because it's not sold in the next couple of months, and we'll talk more about them in a while. But demand is going to drop further than supply. Don't get me wrong. So the house market will move in a downward direction, okay? But it's been generally in an upward graph. So this downward is going to be the graph capping off and then probably dropping to some degree, which I'll come on to. But it's not going to drop as dramatically as if all the supply was still there. New people were still putting their properties on the market all the time, because they're not. For the next 3 months, people will not be putting loads of properties on the market. They're not going to want strangers coming round to look round their property, okay? So this is very different to the credit and the Great Depression. The policymakers are throwing money at this problem. throwing money at this problem. And the way they've stepped in, they've had to step in, by the way, but the way they're stepping in, what are they hoping will happen? What the government are currently hoping financially will happen is if they commit enough money over the next 3 to 5 months, we can see ourselves through the worst of the coronavirus in the next 3 to 5 months and get back to some semblance of normality, which, that's going to take a while. And they've talked about 12 months as well. But, if they can financially get us through that period, if they can pay workers 80% of their wages and the other businesses that can survive still survive, and the food businesses will do very well and the drugs businesses will do very, but if they can see us through that period, right, and then no one has been overly affected. Some businesses are going to go, don't get me wrong, but if they can see us through and the businesses manage to make it, or the majority of the businesses manage to make it, what they're then backing and banking on is the general climb of the economy was a positive one. So if this becomes a blip, this becomes something that happened, but we're back to normal and we've managed to get control of it in 3 to 5 months, then we'll go back to, we might have had a dip, we might have moved downwards 5 to 10%, probably closer to 5 to start with, but let's say 5 to 10 to be really cautious, okay? I don't think it'd be as much as 10, but we could probably move back downwards 5 to 10%. But if it then kicks back in and everything goes back to normal and the normal supply resumes and the normal demand resumes, and in fact, there'll be some pent-up demand, which I'll come on to. But there's going to be a lot of people very fed up of being in their house. They'll either have decided they need a new house and they're staying together, or they need a new house and they're separating. But they'll decide they need new houses, lots of people. So there'll be a pent-up demand, and that pent-up demand will probably push back up the majority of that 5 to 10% if they succeed. If this financial stimulus that they're really throwing out succeeds to see us through. And that's the goal. And that's what you're seeing governments do all around the world, because they're saying if we can do this, we can stop it going into recession. Okay. If that turns out to be the case, when is the sweet spot to be buying properties if you're planning to buy them in the coming future? It's from month 2 or 3 from now up to about month 9 from now. Okay, May, June through to the end of December, because that's when you'll have the impact of the dip. We dip down 5 to 10%, it stays down, then we kick back up again. So the second half of this year, if the government are successful, is the time to be buying, or June onwards is the time to be buying. Okay, does that mean buying now is bad? No, absolutely not. If I'm buying a house now, which I am, I'm buying property right now, I'm still buying, because I think that I personally, I think they probably will be successful. No crystal ball, there's no guarantee of that. But I buy for cash flow as well as asset growth. I'll come on to that. So if it dips for even for 2 years, it's not a problem for me because I've got great cash flow in the meantime. I'd still rather have my money invested and be getting the cash flow than be not in the market at all. It's the time in the market that makes you your money. Speak to any financial geniuses. It's the time in the market that makes you the money, not when you get in or when you get out. It's the time spent in it. Okay. Now, if the government fail, so if they cannot get coronavirus under control, if it takes 15 to 24 months to get coronavirus under control, what then is the impact on the housing market? If we have to wait for a vaccine and we're in lockdown, then we're out, then we're back in lockdown, then we're out, then we're back in lockdown, and we do that for the next 15 to 24 months until these vaccines work and we can cure the problem a different way. Well, if that happens, we'll see that early 5 to 10% dip that I've already spoken about, and you might see a little surge, but it's likely to continue on. And if the whole country and the world goes into recession, then you're likely to get at tops a 15% dip. But understand, we've not had 15% dips before. Even in the credit crunch, the average was less than 10% dip. We had certain areas, little conurbations that went to 15% dips, but as a generic, 10% dips. So 15% dip in house market is pretty extreme for the UK market. The bottom line is the underlying economics. We've still got 1 million house shortfall right now for the people we need to house. Guess what? We're going to be building less houses, not more, in the coming months, but people are still being born. That 1 million house shortfall increases by about 100,000 every year. Anyway, it's going to increase more than that this year. Okay, so we've got significant shortage of property. We've got, a limited amount of land. We're in the UK, we can't build more land. So land prices keep going up as there's more people living here. All of these factors are going to keep pushing on that house price index, okay, over time. There's underlying factors. So if we go into recession, this is different to a normal recession as well, because this recession is caused by a specific event, which means the recovery is likely to be swifter when the recovery happens. Again, no guarantees of that, but you're likely to see that ideal buying time stretch from being June to December to being June till December the following year, if the government fail to take control of it. But I think the 5 to 10% drop now, it might solidify at approximately 10% drop, but my belief is it won't go beyond that. It's very, very, very hard to predict right now. So as I say, I don't have a crystal ball. These aren't guarantees. I'm just giving you a feel of it, and a feel of the economics, and a feel of where things are coming from. Now, the government, bottom line, whatever happens, are throwing a stack of money at this situation. Okay, they've got to do that right now. They've got to see us through, because if they don't throw a stack of money at the situation, then we've got absolute carnage. We've got people literally unable to feed themselves. Okay, so however, let's think next then about the government. Okay, and I'm covering the pains, and then we'll come on to what we can do about it. The government is going to be skint. At the end of this situation, whether that's in 6 months, 12 months, or 24 months, they will be skint. We as society will have to pay more taxes to pay this money back. We've got to pay more taxes to pay this money back. And the state pension, when it was first introduced, you may or may not know this, when it was first introduced in the early 1900s, there were 14 people working for each person retired. So because the workers pay their national insurance, and that gets spent on the retired people. We're already in a situation where that number is below 3 and heading towards 2 people working for each person retired. So by the time we retire, if you've got another 30, 40 years in your tank, or 20 years, the odds are there'll be only 2 people working for each person retired. That on its own is not sustainable. Now, if you multiply that not being sustainable with then the government already being skint and needing to raise more money from other places, they've already been encouraging people to get their own pensions, nests, etc. People getting, rules coming in about having your own pensions. The state pension will not exist. So we're going to be paying more taxes, and state pension is not going to exist. So I need you to learn to look after yourself short term, but also long term. I want you to be almost convinced that the government won't look after your long term self, and they definitely won't look after your kids' long term self. So you need to master something else. You need to master money in a different way, so that you're in control. And by the way, this has hit us now, but there could be another virus in 5 years' time. There could be another virus in 10 years' time. So you want to be building a fortress, a financial fortress that will protect you and your family, and then you teach your friends how to do it, and will protect you all long term. Okay, so being on webinars like this and getting educated helps you to do that. Okay, Warren Buffett says, okay, arguably the most successful of our time, buy when others are fearful. Buy when others are fearful. Right now, people are fearful. Okay, now is the time, if you have the money. And I get, by the way, please remember, default back to that starter page. Some people on this call are absolutely skint right now, and we're going to cover what to do about mortgages. We're going to cover what to do about tenants. Okay, but there is also a good, there's going to be a way to help people that desperately need to sell their houses in an ethical way that helps them, and help people that are desperate to earn some money on their savings, and for you to do well as well. So buy when others are fearful. Now, linked to that, we'll do 2 more teaching pieces in property, and then we'll get into the next step of what's going on with coronavirus, okay? There is good debt and bad debt. You were probably brought up, many people were brought up, that saving was good and debt was bad, that you should pay your debts off, and that saving was good, okay? And if you were brought up like that, you need to thank your parents, because they've got you as far as they've got you. The thing is, an investor thinks different to a saver. A saver says saving is good and debt is bad. An investor says there's good debt and bad debt. And let me just explain that. A bad debt is a debt that you have to pay whether you get out of bed or not. Okay, so your own residential mortgage, you're having to pay that right now today, whether you're using the house or not. When you go on holiday, I know we can't right now, but holiday for 2 weeks, you're not even in the house, you still have to pay for it. That's a bad debt. Your car loan, your credit card, your overdraft, you have to pay for those regardless. What's the definition of a good debt? A good debt is when First of all, somebody else pays for it, not you. So in the property world, a good debt is where the tenant is paying for the debt. Okay, that's a good debt. Someone else is paying for it, not you. And secondly, it makes you money as well. If somebody else is paying for the debt and it makes you money, how much debt would you like? And then we might, if you act from a place of fearfulness, by the way, you'll still go none. But that's because you're not understanding this concept. If somebody else is paying for it, the tenant, and it makes me money as well, I want as much debt as I can have, please. Because someone else will pay for it and it will make me money. Now, you need to buy the right houses. You need to make sure they tenant well. You need to be planned. You need to have contingency for times like this. And I can't teach all of this on this one webinar, but I want you to get this concept. I want you to get this concept. Debt is going to be incredibly cheap over the coming months and couple of years, okay? And other people will pay for that debt. People are going to want properties to rent. Some people will lose their homes, sadly, and that is horrendous, okay? But they will need somewhere to live and they will need somewhere to rent. And we already have a million house shortfall. So if you can get the debt and you can give them somewhere to live and that makes you money as well, then they win and you win. And the banks actually win in a funny way as well, okay? So that's the difference between good debt and bad debt, okay? So let's talk further about the property market, okay? Let's think about cash flow, the rent that you get versus the capital growth, okay? So over time, if you imagine me sat here with both of my arms out, and it's the early 2000s, so my right arm is now starting to rise up, okay? So the early 2000s in London, what's happening? The housing prices are rising up and up and up. So housing prices are on one side, rents are on another. So housing prices are going up quite quickly, early 2000s, and rents are still going up, but they're going up more gradual. And we reach a point in 2007 where the government go, this is, not the government, people go, this is crazy. It's more expensive to buy than to rent. I'm going to rent instead of buy. So the housing market in 2007-8 starts to slow down, even drops a bit. But rent, supply and demand, but more people are renting now, so rents start to fly up. And we get to about 2012 and rents are now have really gone up and housing markets started to rise a little bit. But people, this is crazy. It's more expensive to rent than it is to buy. I'm going to buy instead. So 2012 in London, people start to buy, don't they? So the housing market starts to rise again pretty quickly and rents slow down, but they're still rising, but they're not going up as steeply. And they fly forward. And without coronavirus, we're getting to the point in 2020 where in London, housing prices are starting to slow down. They're still rising, but it's rising less. And people are going, it's more expensive to buy than rent. I'm going to rent, and rents start flying up again. That's the point we're getting to, or we were getting to. The point I want to make to you is, as a landlord, you're safe either way. You have your financial fortress either way. You want the housing market to go up, of course you do. When it goes up in value, you can release equity and buy more houses, or if you've got enough, you can release equity and live off it. That's an amazing gift that you give to yourself and your family and your generations to come. But as well as the housing market rising, when it's not rising at times like now, or it's going to drop, more people will rent than buy, which pushes your rents up faster. Now, this is not going to happen in this next 3-month period. In the next 3-month period, it's an extreme thing. So rents can't go up and housing market can't go up. But as soon as that's settled, it will take a while for the housing market to come back into play. Okay, a few months, like I said, but the rents will go up significantly. So as a landlord, you're safe either way, because if the rents go up, I get more cash flow. And if the housing market's going up, I can release money and live from it. It's not a seesaw. They don't crash back down to the beginning again. They're ramping up one after the other, ramping up, ramping up, ramping up. Okay. So I don't mind what happens in the short term in property, unless I'm trading property. If you're buying it, refurbishing it and trying to sell it on for a profit, then you care. By the way, if you're trying to trade property, it's probably too late now because you're going into lockdown and then that drop's going to happen. Okay. But if you can get rid of it in the next week or two, then now's the time to be selling, but it's probably too late for that. So what you need to do is look at other strategies to bunker that down, and we'll come on to that. Okay. So, okay, but if you're not trading property, it doesn't matter what happens short term. Okay. And people are saying to me right now, I don't want to buy property because the tenants aren't going to pay. Well, if it's going to take 3 months to find your property, and then 2 months to get it purchased, and then a month to get it rented, that's 6 months before the tenants are going to be renting it. Stop worrying about the fact tenants aren't going to be able to pay today. They are, by the way, which we'll come on to, but don't worry about that, because in 6 months we'll be in a totally different economy. And if in 3 months while you've been looking for the property and then you find one and then the economy's gone the other way, then you just don't buy it, okay? But don't let it stop you moving forward. Don't let it stop you going and looking for one in the next 3 months and finding the right property. Now let's look at who we can help. Okay. By the way, I'm being asked, this webinar probably is about 1 hour and 20 of content from me. So I hope you're enjoying the content. There's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of you on this webinar, just under 1,000. Hope you're enjoying the content. But yeah, be about 1 hour and 20, and then I'll do questions. Okay. So who are the people in the economy that in 3 months' time are going to need to sell? Builders. Builders rely on buy a piece of land, build a property, sell it. They have strict numbers, they put everything in place, and they're making tighter and tighter margins every year. Okay, the cost of building going up and up. Okay, they want to keep their contractors on site, they want to make sure they can pay their contractors, they need to sell the houses. So if they get to a point where even if they sell the house at break even, but it shifts it, keeps their contractors working, keeps their bank happy, keeps them moving, builders are going to be willing to do that. So in the next 3 months, you're going to see massive opportunities with builders, particularly as quite a group of them have June 30th as year end, which is an odd year end, but that's the year end that they use, and they like to report well on the stock market. So buying from builders is going to be a fantastic opportunity in the next 3 months, and getting deep discount from them. Okay, you'll be able to get discount because the prices have dropped, and then deep discount from the prices as well. Now the next one is a funny one, but I don't know if you know this statistic. At what time of year do most people end up agreeing to divorce or working out? They may not agree to divorce, but they disagree so much they decide to divorce or split. Well, the time of year is actually Christmas. At Christmas, by a massive proportion, there is a massive increase in people making that decision. And interestingly, Christmas is when you get to spend a chunk of time together, 10, 11, 12 days. And it's normally a bit stressful. There's a lot going on. And finances can be under pressure because you're spending all this money on the kids and having a great Christmas. So you're spending a chunk of time together, finances are under pressure, and there's stress going on. It sounds just like self-isolation. Sounds just like lockdown. Same criteria being met. We're spending more time together, we're under pressure, and we're under pressure financially. The very sad news is the odds are, as we come out of self-isolation or any lockdown, that the divorce and separation rate will go up, because people will go, do you know what? I didn't enjoy that. It's time for a change. It's time for a change. And there's a whole nother webinar about that and trying to help people in that situation and help them in those relationships. But the bottom line is those people will want to get out and they will want to move. And some of those people will be like, we just need to sell the house because we want to be away from each other, and this is really important to us. And you know, they'll really be tied to that. You know, we're going to have inheritors, sadly, too many inheritors. Okay, too many inheritors. We don't want all these inheritors, but they will want to shift. They may need cash, or they may just want to get rid of the property because it's got sad memories or it's a long distance from them. That's going to be happening. And we're going to have people with financial issues that need to sell their properties. Okay, might be business owners that say, if I sell these 10 houses over here for a discount, I can get the money I need to save my business, my hotel, or whatever it may be, my pub, or whatever it may be. Or it might be a business owner taking an opportunity. If I sell these 10 houses and I take a 15% cut, I can buy this business over here for a 40% discount because now's my time to be buying. And they use that money in a positive way. Okay, so financial issues will create opportunity. Builders, self-isolation, inheritors, and there are many, many more. You know, we did a brainstorm in the office. There was at least 15 genuine reasons in the next 3 months why people will need to sell, and it will be good for them to sell. You need to learn about these, then you need to learn where to find these people, then you need to go help them. Because if they need to sell and you can find a way to be able to buy their property so they get out like they want to get out at a price they want to get out at, it helps them and it can help you. Now let's think about savers. They've dropped the base rate to 0.1%. 0.1. That's horrific if you're relying on your savings to live on. Okay, Those people that are relying on their savings often have some money in the stock market as well. The stock market's down 30%, 30%, okay, 20% in one day on the 9th of March, okay, when you look at the Dow Jones in the US, one of the main indexes. Stock market's down 30%. And the reason I talk about the US is because they catch a cold, they sneeze, everyone else catches a cold. So the stock market's all around the world responding to that. So if you've got money in the stock market that's really, really down, and you've got money in savings, it's earning you literally nothing, okay? And you've got equity in your house, and that's earning you nothing as well. And your savings in the bank are earning you nothing. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do right now? So we could learn to help those people. Imagine if I could show those people how they could safely make 10% return on their money in holiday lets, while I also made 10%. What if I could show them how to use, and don't do holiday lets this month, okay? This month, no one's going to your holiday let. But in 3 to 6 months, when we all come out, people will be clamoring for holidays. They'll want to get out, but they may not want to leave the UK straight away, but they'll go to the holiday lets, they'll go to the service accommodation properties, okay? But what if I could help those people do that, and then I could buy a property from someone who's desperate to sell, and I can be in the middle, and I help this person make money, I make money, and the person that wants to sell can sell. This is just a skill set that you may not have yet. Some of you on the call do have that skill set, but if you don't, this is a skill set you can develop, and you can be helping all these people. These might be family, these might be friends, or they might be people you've never met before, but they were relying on their savings to provide them with an income, and now they're getting no income. What if you learned the right thing to say to them? Because, by the way, if you had 100K in the bank right now, and I said to you, I can show you how to make 10% on that money, and you'll have first charge on the house, and it'll be safe and secure because it's going to make 20,000, but you get the first 10,000, whatever it makes. You would be interested in that if you had 100K in the bank. That would prick your ears up. So you can take that message out and give it to other people. By the way, I'm not about to try and get you to give me your cash. I wouldn't give you 10%. I don't pay that because I do a lot of this. But you would be happy to pay that if you were going to earn 10% as well. Business owners, self-employed people will need cash. Okay, so you've got all these savers that have got this money. You've got business owners and self-employed people that are definitely going to need cash. They need cash now. They need cash in the next month or two. They will need help too. So our job as human beings, for me, is to help as many people as we can. There's nothing wrong with you adding value to your own life along the way, but you want to be able to help these other people. They need this money working for them. Okay. So the base rates change. It's down to 0.1%. Now, fixed rates at the moment, when the base rate changes and they drop it, if you're getting a new mortgage, are the fixed rates moving? The answer is no. Right now, the lenders are not inclined to drop their fixed rates. In fact, a couple, HSBC, have put them up. At the moment, it's an emergency drop in the base rate. If we get through this next 3, 4, 5 months, you might see that base rate go back up again because they said it's an emergency drop. I don't think you will, by the way. I think it'll be with us till at least Christmas, but I don't know that. No crystal ball, okay? But if it does go back up, the banks are going to take their margin for now. They're not going to drop those fixed rates. They know what people want, certainty, so people will fix anyway. Okay, tracker rates. If you've got a tracker mortgage or tracker mortgages, your bank will be writing to you, and they need to bring your rates down in line with that drop. So you're going to get a cheaper mortgage. If you're on SVR, standard variable rate, at the end of a deal, or you're on just a general variable rate from the bank, not a tracker but a variable, it's up to the bank if they follow that base rate drop. And for most banks, they won't. They will pass on some of it. So they'll pass on some of the drop, but likely 0.3% or something like that. They won't follow it all the way down, okay? In general, in terms of the market, okay, fixed is not down because they see it as temporary, and tracker mortgages are getting pulled. Now, you will start to hear stories over the coming days and weeks about banks pulling their products. Please don't, from my point of view, I wouldn't panic about that. If you think from the bank's point of view, with self-isolation and everybody going into lockdown, they're having to close their head offices, they're having to close their big spaces, and they will want to see through the current mortgages that people have already applied for. That doesn't mean they've run out of money. It doesn't mean they don't want to lend. It means they need to deal with what they've currently got. If they've only got half their workforce and they've got all those applications still to deal with, they may as well see through what they've already got rather than attract new business and spend money attracting new business. So at the moment, you'll see that shutdown happening with some lenders. So we've heard it from Barclays today. We've heard it from VIDA, V-I-D-A. This is on buy-to-lets and residential mortgages. You'll see them switching off their products, but they're saying, look, this is temporary. We'll be switching this back on again. Okay. Now, a couple of lenders, the less well-known lenders like VIDA, the less well-known lenders may also struggle to borrow money. Because if you're a bank now and you can lend money to an individual with an 80% guarantee backed by the government, or you can lend money to a new company like VIDA who haven't been trading that long, I know where I'd rather put my money. So I think we will see a reduction in the number of lenders that are out there that have got access to funds, but I don't think it will be like the credit crunch. Personally, I don't think it may be temporary while lockdown goes on because they can't staff it, they can't man it. But I wouldn't panic about that. When people start presenting that as panic news, don't get overtaken by it. Okay. So what do we do with our mortgage payments? We've been told that we can take our mortgage payments and we can have 3 months off. Okay. We've been told that we can do that. The lenders are saying that that's the same for residential mortgages. That's the same for buy-to-let mortgages. The Building Society Association have come out and said that's the same at building societies. Okay. Now, the first thing I want to make clear, you must make your mortgage payments to keep your credit clean and your future lines of credit clear. What if you need a loan in a couple of months' time or a credit card in a couple of months' time and you've missed a payment so no one will lend you money? So you must make your mortgage payments. Hang on a minute, you say, Aaron, you're confusing me because you're saying I must make my mortgage payments, but I can have 3 months off. The government have very clearly said, and the banks have said the same, that the 3 months holiday pay, that they will give you, it's not holiday pay, holiday they will give you on your mortgage payments, can be agreed with them, but it needs to be agreed with them. Okay. So if you've got a mortgage payment due out tomorrow, you still need to make it unless you've already agreed with them not to, because otherwise it will hit your credit file. The end of the month payments are the worst because if you miss at the end of the month and it trips into another month, then you're showing us 1 month late. If it's the first of the month and you miss it, as long as you catch up normally by the 15th, you're normally okay. But I'm telling you, don't miss any mortgage payments. In terms of getting on the phone and asking the banks for that 3-month holiday, my personal view is, other people have different views, by the way, but my personal view is take it. If it's on offer, why wouldn't you take it and bank the cash for now? Just because we don't know what the next 3-4 months look like, then therefore banking the cash while you can is a good idea. If at the end of the 3-4 months you never needed the cash, keep it in a separate account, and if you never need it, just pay it off the mortgage again in 3 or 4 months' time. But for now, take the holiday they're offering you. But what you must do is speak to them first, and you must speak to them and check that then it's not going to affect your credit file. Okay. And the promise is that it won't. Now, remember, they may make mistakes. They're having to move so fast, put all these systems and processes and everything else in place. Some mistakes may get made because they're having to track this so fast. So if they make a mistake, get back in touch with them. Don't go below the line. They've made a mistake. Get back in touch. Speak to them again. Make sure they put your credit file right, because otherwise it will get in the way of other things. But 99.9% of the time, they're not going to do that. But they're going to deal with millions of requests. So it's going to happen to some of us. Okay. Now, I've put there this week or next week discussion. If your mortgage is due to go out at the end of this month or the start of next month, you need to get on the phone. You're going to be on the phone on hold for 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hours, I've heard people tell me, to get through to speak to someone because everybody else is doing it too. But if you want to take that holiday break, then get on the phone and have that discussion with them. If your mortgage payment's not due out to the middle of next month, then wait until the middle of next month to get on the phone and have that discussion with them. Okay. So get on the phone now if it's short, but by the longer you can leave it before you call them, don't leave it till the day before, but the longer you can leave it, the more chance they've got the systems and processes in place. You don't need to spend a 4-hour call for them to say, yeah, ring us back in 2 days. And then you spend another 6-hour call because everybody's calling back. So I would leave it. If your payment's not due out to the middle of next month, I'd leave it for another week or so before I call them. It's a bit like the toilet roll rush, and now suddenly there's toilet roll again. Okay. So so leave it for a little while if you can, but if your payments are due out this coming week, get on the phone to them. If you have not spoken to them about it, I recommend paying it. If you can speak to them about it, then you can probably push the mortgage payment the mortgage payment back. Okay, so what else on mortgages? And my recommendation is the cash boat. So do not be in panic mode. Do not just randomly stop paying absolutely every direct debit and get yourself all sorts of fees and charges and get bad credit. But speak to people. You know, we're in March. Don't pay the council tax in April would be my recommendation. That just buys you a month. They'll write to you. They'll tell you haven't paid. They'll, if any of them are in the office, and then they'll tell you that they're going to add it on to May, and you say, fine, add it on to May. If you know, the gyms have closed. If you've got small direct debits, cancel them. Get them off your file. Okay. If the gym's closed, stop paying it. Gas and electric. If you're not going to use it as much in the summer, which we're now entering, ring them and drop what you're paying. Just say, look, can I drop what I'm paying to £40 a month? I'm on 120. Can I drop it to 40? Well, will you only be using that much? Well, for now, I think so. Yeah, we're going to turn it all off. Okay. And you can catch that piece up later. So you want to do what you can without being irresponsible to build yourself that cash moat, to build yourself as much cash as you can around you. The things that you must pay, your mortgage or your rent, always pay those, okay? Pay your buildings insurance, your life insurance. If you have been laid off, by the way, in any way, shape or form, and you've not been put in furlough, contact your employer and say, can you put me in furlough, please? Rather than lay me off entirely, can you put me in furlough so I get 80% of my wage? It doesn't cost the employer any more. They may need to cash flow it for a couple of weeks, which they won't like, and some of them won't be able to do, but the majority will. And if they can't cash flow it, they will still put me in furlough and just pay me late. Pay me when you get the money. But you then want to make sure you're paying your mortgage. You want to make sure you're paying your buildings insurance, because if your building falls down, you're in trouble. Do not cancel life insurance and things like that, especially with a disease being around, okay? Your personal loans, your credit cards, if you delay payments on those, they're more likely to impact your credit file. And there's no promise that they won't, but ring your lender and speak to them. Communication is key. Communication is absolutely key right now. Ring your lenders and speak to them. Okay, lending and refinancing. So we don't know what will happen to lending in the future, but bottom line, banks make their money by taking one person's money and lending it to somebody else. They're going to keep lending, okay? Our higher loan to value products, Fleet had an 80% range, Kensington had an 85% range for the last couple of years, 2-3 years. They're withdrawn for now. So what they're doing is they're covering the market movement. They're saying if the market moves down 5 or 10%, we don't want to find ourselves at 95% loan to value on these recent loans that we've given. So I'm expected to see the higher loan to value products go, but we've still got 75%. If you're looking to refinance, move incredibly quickly. So move now. I know, to be honest with you, I'm busy talking now. We could have gone into lockdown while I'm speaking, but move now, move quickly. Okay, lockdown may get in the way of valuations. It's likely to, but some lenders will do drive-bys. They'll want to keep lending. Some lenders will do what they call desktops. They'll value the property from a desktop. So I would get on with your refinances right now. Get your refinances sorted. If the market's going to drop 5 to 10%, you want to be getting your money out on today's valuations, not the valuations in 3 or 4 months' time. Okay, get your deals now, get them applied for, get to mortgage offer, and then in 2 to 6 weeks, if the market, the banks have dropped their rates, you can always go to your broker and say, can you go back to the bank now they've dropped their rates, can you switch me on to that product? I'll still take the offer. They've still valued my house, switch me on to that product. But don't wait for that to happen, because your house is going to go down in value. You won't be able to release as much money from it. So you want to get on and get that refinancing done now, okay? And I wanted to help with that. So what I'm going to do, I asked my mortgage brokers, and they're flat out busy now looking after all of my clients and other clients, but I said, I'm doing a webinar tonight, about 1,000 people on the webinar, if they need help with refinancing. So this isn't for help asking your lender to, this isn't just asking your lender how you take a payment holiday. You just need to ring your lender directly, okay? But if you need some help with refinances right now, if you need somebody to look at your portfolio or look at your personal situation right now, these are my personal mortgage brokers. So these are the people that look after my 200 plus properties. Most of my clients' 1,000 plus properties are looked after by these brokers, and they will personally review your situation. So if you click yes, please, It's not my business, by the way, but they're people I know and trust. They do over 60 buy-to-lets a month. So they know this market inside out, back to front. They're speaking with all the lenders all the time. But if you just click as quick as you can for me, then I can move on, because we've still got loads of content left, and I want to get onto tenants especially, and some other stuff as well. So if you just click, you can click, everyone on the call can click one of those buttons, can't you? You can either say, yes, please, I'd like to speak to them. You can say, no, thank you, I don't need help, which is great if you don't, by the way, that's really good. Or you might say, maybe not sure. And if it's maybe not sure, they'll drop you an email with their contact details, and then they'll wait to hear from you as and when you want to look at this. Okay, but if you've potentially got the option to refinance, you want to speak to them. And also if you're thinking you might want to buy in the next 3 to 6 months, again, you want to speak to them because you want to get a decision in principle in place, an agreement from the bank that they'll lend you money. So when the deals come up that you may be able to buy, you've already got the mortgage sorted and in place. So there's about 20% of you left to click. I'm just going to wait for you to click, and then I can move forward with the slides. So if you can click as quickly as possible, that would be absolutely great. Okay, and we're going to move now on to tenants. Okay, we're going to start to speak about tenants. Please, please, please click as quick as you can. You're either a yes, please, I'd like to speak to somebody for help on refinances, not for mortgage payment holidays. Remember, you're going to speak to your bank direct for that. You're a maybe, I'm not sure, but I might need help. They'll drop you an email so you've got their information if you do need it in the next couple of months. Or you're a no, thank you, I don't need help, I'm sorted on this front. Okay. Cool. There's about 45% of you that want help, either in the yes or the maybe category. So yeah, it may take them 3-4 days to get to all of you, but they will be in touch. And it's the mortgage home that I'm recommending to you. So they will be in touch. I'm going to close that down. By the way, if for any reason you can't click, but you do want help, just type in mortgage please into the questions. Don't type a big long paragraph, but if you type mortgage please, my team will sift through tomorrow and pass those on. But only do that if you didn't type yes please. Let's talk next about tenants. Your tenant is your customer. Your tenant is your customer. And if you've got them already, this is going to really help you. If you haven't got them, this will help you for when you get them. Your tenant is your customer. So many landlords forget that. The tenant becomes a passing thought. Okay? They are having all the worries and all the problems you are having, and maybe more. Maybe because they're not as financially well off, they're having more. So as human beings, we need to reach out to our tenants. And what I mean by reaching out is, are you all right? Are you ill? Is anyone in your family ill? I want to check you're okay. Are you okay for food? If not, can I arrange for someone to be dropped off? Are you okay for medicine? If not, can I arrange for someone to be dropped off? How can I help you? And this isn't a game, this isn't a ploy, this is just caring for your tenants. The average tenant at the Insight Group stays in our properties for well over 5 years. And in the marketplace in general, it's over 4 years now. If your tenant cannot pay you, they will be able to, most of them, but if they can't pay you for 2 months out of 4 years, you're still going to get 46 months of payments. Now is not the time to fall out with them. Now is not the time to cause a row with them. Now is the time to reach out to them and be a brilliant human being and care about them. Check they're okay. Check what help they need and work. Okay. Now, many of our tenants don't understand the changes that are taking place. They may not understand they can go back to their employee and say, can you, instead of laying me off, can you put me on furlough? They may not understand that that they should claim for benefits. If they're laid off, they should immediately claim for benefits. Don't wait, don't think about it. Claim for benefits and claim every one you possibly can think of, and then see which ones you get. You need to help them understand their circumstances. If you'll get close to them, I would get close to them and just reach out as a human being for now. If then they hit payment issues, people that get paid monthly, the majority of them are still going to get paid at the end of this month, or they're going to get paid a chunk of their money at the end of this month. So they'll still be able to pay you this time. It's next time's payment that's going to affect you. People on benefits are still getting their benefits. They should still be able to pay you this time. It's sole traders and business owners that may struggle to pay you right now because they've got other things they're worrying about, or may choose not to pay you right now because they've got other things that they're worrying about. So you need to get to understand their circumstance. I wouldn't bring it up. I just care about them for now, check they're okay, get them what they need. If then it turns out they miss a payment, then you need to speak to them again, but you build some more rapport and relationship with them over the 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks before that happens. It might be the end of May by the time that happens. Then get to understand their circumstance and then look at what you can do to help. If you can reduce the rent and it still covers all your costs, you're not making any profit, but it covers your costs, better that and they pay the reduced rent than they totally disappear. Now, I'm not meaning give them a payment holiday, a rent holiday. What you're doing is just delaying some of the rent. You're pushing the, like they've done for VAT for businesses. They've said you can pay the VAT later. So use that cash for other things right now and pay us later. You can do the same with the rent. I would rather get half rent for a couple of months than no rent. And they'll remember that you did that for them, okay? But only raise it if payment becomes an issue, okay? So more on tenants, 98% genuinely want to pay you. Help them understand about furlough. Help them get online and claim those benefits. Now, unfortunately, a few tenants are going to take advantage. They're going to call you and say, you know, I have lost my job, and they haven't, or I'm not getting paid, and they are. But it's going to be a tiny percentage. This is where I talk about don't worry about what you can't control, and then deal with what you can control. You can control being a great human being and getting to know them. The few they just ask for evidence they've been laid off or evidence of the furlough and say, if you can provide me some evidence, I might be able to get you some help, and then point them in the right direction to claim benefits or work with them. But asking for that evidence will then help at that time. Okay, help them understand they too can speak to the gas, the electric, the council tax, loads, the credit cards. They can ask for payment holidays too on all of those things, and that may free up the money so they can pay, most importantly, for the roof over their head. Okay, but treat them as human beings, understand they're in pain, and work with them. When I was young and naive, if a tenant didn't pay, I was cross with them. Now I understand they're just a human being doing the best they can, and I need to work with them in 98% plus of the time. And the other 1.5%, we'll find out after a week or two, and then we'll do what we need to do. Okay. So if you've got letting agents, make sure they get this stuff. This stuff I'm teaching you now is critical, so you maximize the rents that you get, but you care for and look after your tenants. It is vital. They deserve it. They look after you month after month after month. And as I said, if they stay with you for 5 years, that's 60 months. If you lose 1 or 2 months of rent, don't get totally upset with them. Don't fall out with them, because if they can pay again once we start again, you might still have another 50 months of rent to come from them. You don't want to vacate them. You're not going to find another tenant right now. So you'd be better keeping that tenant in than getting them out and then finding you can't relet. Okay. Repossessions have been stopped. Okay. We had a case last week that went to court. It was in court, and the judge said, it was just the day after the announcement, the judge said, I'm adjourning it for 3 months. I'm not kicking someone out in this situation. It's getting adjourned for 3 months. So any case that's due to go to court is likely to get adjourned. The courts are going to shut down. They're putting back cases already. They're going to close anytime now with a lockdown. Okay. And you can't issue new possession claims. You can issue your section notices. So you can issue a section 21 or a section 8. You can serve those notices, but you can't issue the claim for the next 3 months, okay, at this point in time. So you can issue the notices. You need to make sure you understand what you're doing with that. You need to make sure the paperwork is right, because you don't want to issue the notice now, wait 4 months because you have to, and then it turns out the paperwork's wrong and you have to start again, and you've just totally lost the 4 months. So get help with that, get training on that, if you need to do that, okay. This could be over by the summer. So remember that this could be over by the summer. This could be over in 3 months' time. This could, by next Christmas, this could be a painful period that you remember, but it's now history. Okay. So you use this time wisely. There are benefits in where we are. There are benefits. You're not having to travel to and from work. Focus on what you can do. For property, for me, use this time to upskill yourself. You need to be studying like crazy. Do online courses and learning. Commit to mastery. Mastery is learning from the best you can find, finding out how they do it, and just modeling them. Find the best in the country, the best in the world you can find, and learn from them. Get ready for what's to come. Get upskilled now. Don't blunder into June, July, August, September and not know what's coming. Get around people who understand the market. Get around people who understand how to help others and make money while they're doing it, and do the same for yourself. If you're someone with some money and you're thinking of buying property, June to December is going to be a fantastic time for you, probably the best time in your lifetime. So some really, really bad stuff's going to happen. I'm not saying it's not, but get yourself ready for the good stuff. You know, if you're someone that knows someone with savings, you can help them earn 5%, 7%, 10% on their savings instead of 0.1. It's going to be 0% they're getting on their savings. You can help these people to achieve more. You can help them to feel less worried and less stressed. You can support them. But you can only do that if you upskill yourself first. Upskill yourself. A, you have the skill yourself for the rest of your life. B, you then have that skill to pass on. So the 10 hours a week you used to spend commuting, or the 5 hours you used to spend watching Coronation Street, or that you're currently spending watching the news, filling yourself with scary stuff, repurpose that. Just commit to learning a skill. If you're not interested in property, go learn a language. Learn French this next 3 months. Learn Spanish, but use it wisely. It will make you feel better as well, and focus on things that are going to serve you. Focus on upskilling yourself. Now is your time. Now is your time. This is a great time to review your finances, by the way. If we're all cutting back, maybe we can eventually stay cut back. Maybe as a planet, we can consume a lot less. Now, lockdown is coming. It might have happened while I've been on this webinar, I don't know, but it is coming. You're not going to be able to do viewings. So if lockdown hasn't already come, slash your rents. At the Insight Group, we slash rents today. It's like next 3 months, half price, because we want to get the viewing done this week and we want to get the property rented, okay? You're not going to be able to rent it again. If it becomes empty in the next 2 months, you're not going to be able to rent it while we're in that lockdown situation. I've talked about how long a tenant stays. So again, if I take that slash at the beginning but get a tenant in now, it's going to look after me long term. There are ways to do social distancing at the property. You can come and you can open the door and then stand back on the road, and then they can go in and do the viewing, and they come back out, they don't touch the door, and you go lock the door, for example. So there are ways to do social distancing and still do viewings. If we go to lockdown and people shouldn't be moving around, you're not going to be able to do viewings. You might want to take a video of your property and get the video online. People will still need to move. Okay, that is the bottom line. People are going to need to move house. Okay, they're only going to view 1 or 2 houses and then they're going to move to one of those 2. They're not going to go view 15. Okay, so those people that need to move in the next 2 or 3 months do need to be able to see properties. They're going to need to look at videos, and then they're going to go have a look, and they're going to move in. Okay, so you need to maximize your opportunity there. I would slash your rents so you're ahead of other people. Just first 3 months, half price, for example. For coronavirus, we want to help, so we're slashing the rents to help anybody that needs to move in these desperate times. You know, the next 3 months is half price. Okay, but make sure you're doing the social distancing. I don't want to preach to you, but you get my point. Okay, still do your normal checks, still do your normal referencing. Don't rush somebody in at half price and then they would have failed referencing and you've got no chance of working with them. So still do all the normal checks you should be doing, but make sure you're aware of it. Maintenance. I would proactively contact your tenants. Let them know that if something is affecting the infrastructure of the property, or if it's urgent stuff, gas and water, you will deal with it. Okay, but other than that, you can't send workmen in, because they could go in and infect them, or they could infect the workmen or ladies. Okay, so anything that's non-urgent waits. But let them know that now before you get something non-urgent, and then you're proactively dealing with it, rather than they ring you with something they'd like doing and then you're disappointing them at that time. Okay, so you don't want to risk tenants, you don't want to look at risk contractors. Infrastructure stuff gets done that's going to, damp is going to permanently damage your property. Urgent stuff like gas and water gets done. Everything else waits. Everything else gets put back. Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground on this webinar. I'd have loved to help all business owners, and I'd have loved to help people that are sole traders, or anybody that potentially can claim various benefits. I do have a document that I'm going to send out with the recording. Anyone that's attended this webinar, I'm committed to sending you out the recording as a thank you for attending, so you can play it to your loved ones. But along with that recording, I'm going to share with you this document. So, and this isn't a government document, but it was produced and pulled together to help you guys, as well as helping lots of other people. But it covers the announcements that have been made so far. Now, it's only up to today, up until this morning. If there's been more announcements tonight, they will have changed. But it literally goes from as the grant support, wage support, tax payments, alternative funding, mortgage and rent support, banks, hospitality and leisure, business interruption loans, and you've got detail on each of those in this document. So I don't have time to cover that now, but to let you know I'm sending that out, and you can share that on with other people. You may know other business owners, you might not be one, or you may know other people that are struggling with service accommodation or holiday let. You might not be, or whatever it may be. So I want to make sure that we get these documents out to you, so that you're able to help your friends and family members if you're in those situations, and you're also able to help other people. Okay, so that's an 8-page document. I will email that as an attachment along with the recording of this webinar for those of you that want the recording. Okay, so property investors, what are the steps that you need to consider now? I would be saying get skilled up right now. So if you're going to use a done for you service, you know, if you want to build a portfolio and you're going to do it yourself, you need to get skilled up right now. If you're going to use a company to do it for you, if you're going to be busy with your job or busy with your business for the next year, but you want to take advantage of the opportunities that are coming, you would use a company that does what I call a done for you service, where they do it for you. They source the properties, they negotiate, get the property bought, sort everything out, refurbish it, tenant it, manage it. Okay, normally a done for you service has a waiting list of about 3 months. So if you make your decisions while you're in lockdown and you've got more time on your hands, you can research these companies. If you make your decisions in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks and commit to one of them, it will take them 3 months to find you the dream property. By then the market's dropped, they're able to negotiate even harder, you're getting even bigger discounts from the drop and the discounts. You're buying at the perfect time. So you want to be making that decision in the next month. You don't want to be going, I'll wait till the market drops. Then life gets busy, then you procrastinate and you have your holiday, and then by the time you know it, they're already going back up again by the time you make your decision. You've got the chance now to spend the time looking at this stuff, and you've got the chance now to make some good decisions. Treat your tenants with respect and love. Go learn about lease options, go learn about rent-to-rent deals. There'll be so many landlords, there'll be so many human beings you can help if you know about lease options. There'll be so many human beings you can help if you learn about rent-to-rent deals, okay? There's lots of landlords in 3 months' time that will be really ready to rent you a property quickly and cheaply. Okay, they'll have felt the pain, they won't have had the training that you've had, and they'll be really keen to get the property off their hands. Okay, really keen. And you'll take the property off their hands really cheaply, rent it out and make a lot of money with it. Okay, but you're helping them because they want it off their hands, and you're helping you. Nobody loses, everybody wins. Okay, if you learn the skill sets, you can do this ethically. Now is the best time to be buying. So you need to get your skills in place. And you want to master the 10 key areas. Many of you won't have seen me teach. I teach people how to invest in property. I interviewed 50 people that make £100,000 plus a year from property, year after year after year, not just a one-off year. And I found out what skill sets they had, and I looked at what skill sets they had. And I know if you master these 10 key areas to an 8, 9, or 10 out of 10, and you take the action, you have to take the action as well. But if you do that, I can almost guarantee you whatever time you start with, whatever money you start with, whatever experience you start with, you can get financially free through property. You can build a financial fortress. So if this ever happens again, you will not be financially worrying. You might still worry about your loved ones, you might still worry about your health, but you at least won't be financial worrying. And I want to help people build that fortress. There are 2 ways as a business that we can help. If you want to learn about those 10 key areas, okay, over the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be inviting you to watch various videos. I'm recording some half-hour to an hour-long videos that I'm going to be sharing with you on the next 3 weeks. So set my email account as a safe sender. Watch out for those videos. I know you guys, I'm going to be stuck in lockdown. You guys are going to be stuck in lockdown too. Let's give you some education while you're stuck in lockdown. So over the next starting this weekend for 21 days, I'm going to be sending out different videos to help you learn more about property. You could go find me on YouTube and watch my videos on there. You could commit hours each week. How many hours a week are you going to put into mastering your property investment? You know, get that in the diary right now. And then don't let fear get in the way. It's great to learn. The human body thrives on learning. So use this time wisely. Okay, I've got one last slide as we're going to go to Q&A. Some of you on this call might say, do you know what, this has been really interesting, and could Aran help me in the next 3 months learn more? Okay, many of you won't want to do that. You just came to find some stuff out. But if you're potentially interested in me helping you in this next 3 months with different levels of learning, if you just click yes, please, my team can then let you know how we're able to help you over this next 3 months. If we do go into lockdown for 4, 6, 8 weeks, how can I help you in that period? Use that time as wisely as possible to learn as much as you possibly can. So you might be a yes, please. Can someone in the team give me a call and explain how you can help? You might be a maybe. I'd like to know a bit more. I don't know whether I want your help or not, but maybe I'd like to be a bit more. And you might be no, thank you. This has been great. I've learned a lot tonight. That's why I've stayed on for so long, but I don't need further education. Thank you very much. But thank you. Can I ask you all to click as quickly as you can? I'm going to grab a very quick drink. 23% of you still not clicked. So click now, because you can definitely click yes, maybe, or no. You're one of the three. So click now. If you don't click, my team will call you anyway. That'll make you click. So click as quick as you can, and then we'll move on to the last slide. Okay, thank you for clicking so quickly. We've got about 63% of you asking for more information there. So thank you, and we will make sure we get that to you as quickly as we can. Again, it might take the team 2 or 3 days to come to you. Okay, so final slide. Let me close that poll down. If you're not able to click, by the way, but you do want a call about education, just put yes, please, education, or maybe education. Okay, and then we know it's for education, not the mortgage. The final piece is some of you will want help with done for you. My business helps people grow a property portfolio. That's what we do. We've helped people buy 1,000 houses over the last decade. We know how to look after your money. We know how to make sure you buy outstanding properties sourced at great prices, well negotiated, ethically, so the vendor wins as well as you. It must be ethical, and to build you this financial fortress for the future. So if you've got some money, it needs to be £40,000 plus, and you're interested in maybe getting that working. You're not going to put that money in the market today, and I'm not going to tell you to put that money in the market today. What I'm saying to you is, what you want to be doing is saying, I'm really, really interested in being in the market in 3 months' time. So can I see all of your information, Aran Curry and your done for you team? Can I see the webinar that explains your done for in detail? Can I see your spreadsheet and drop my own numbers in it? While I'm in lockdown, can I spend my time doing my due diligence on business? And can I sourcing list? Because our sourcing list, we don't have a lot of properties sat waiting because they're so good they go instantly, with people waiting for the properties. And it takes about 3 months to get to the top. So if you decide to invest with us in the next week or two, you're going to join that sourcing list. But by the time 3 months have passed and you're at the top of the list, we'll be in the perfect buying situation in terms of getting you the best value for money, great cash flow. We always get great cash flow, but great asset purchase price as well. Okay. So, and if we go 3 months in, by the way, if you get that, join that sourcing list and we get 3 months in and the market goes a different way to what I've just said, or goes a different way to what we're expecting, then you turn around and say, actually, Aran, I'll delay another 2 months, or actually, can I have my money back? I'm going to go put it in gold or stocks or shares or something because I think something else is going to do better. Okay, can I cancel? You don't go ahead. And by the way, you don't give me all your money. You don't give me your £200,000 that you want to invest. You give me a small commitment, a sourcing fee to join that list. The rest stays safely in your bank account until we've found those products for you. So if you want to know more information about this and to make sure you're ready to go ahead, if the government are successful with what they're doing, you want to be joining those lists in the next 2 or 3 weeks, because then it's the perfect time to be ready to buy when the market's at the right price point. £40,000 roughly gets you one property, and then multiples of that. So if it was 200k, it get you 5 properties. So it's multiples. And then if the government's backup plan fails, if their plan fails and we do hit recession, you might in 3 months, as I say, amend and slow it down or buy a bit later. Okay. Again, for some of you, that will be of no interest whatsoever. Okay. And this should only be of interest if you've got £40,000 plus in equity that you think you could release, or in cash and savings that you might want to put into property in 3 months' time and it has settled down, well, not settled, but has dropped, and you're able to buy at the right price point. You need to watch our webinar to understand the golden rules we buy to. people use us, why we look at 100 properties just to recommend you one, etc., etc., and all the things and the return on investment that come that build that financial fortress. If you don't want any help with this, that's absolutely fine. Click no thank you. If you do want help with this, as in you want the information, if you click yes please, you're basically saying, please send me the webinar, please send me the spreadsheets, please work with me so I can get my questions answered and I can rule you guys in or out. And by doing that, my team also will help you rule yourself out, by the way, because they'll be very, very clear. We can only take on approximately 15 clients this coming month, and we've already got many of our current clients are placing further orders because they understand this opportunity, they understand what's coming, so and they've got money available, so they're going, do you know what, we need some more properties. So those slots will fill relatively quickly, but what we want to do is get you that information so you can review that information and you can make an informed, intelligent decision. There's 20% of you are saying, yes, please send me all the information. 27% are saying, maybe, can I have more information? So if you want to click as quick as you can, please, because there's still about 30% of you left to click. So if you're a no thank you, that's fine, click there as well. And once people have finished clicking, I'm going to grab another drink. Then I'll have a look at the questions that have come in and I'll see if I can help with any specific questions that you've had to ask me while we've been on the webinar. So still well over, well, just hundreds and hundreds of you still on the call. So I'm glad you found this valuable to be on here. So please click 30 seconds to click as quick as you can. Click a no thank you, click a maybe or a yes. You can definitely click all of them. If you're not able to click for any reason and you're a yes or a maybe, just type in the chat box, yes, done for you, or maybe done for you, and then the team know to follow up with you on that. Okay, to finish off, none of the predictions I've made come with a crystal ball. I can't guarantee you anything that I've said, but this is how I'm approaching it. This is where I believe things are. This is how I'm dealing with my investment properties, how I'm dealing with mortgages, how I'm dealing with my tenants. And I wanted to share that with as many of you as I possibly could to help you move forward successfully with your investing and with how you want to be, basically. So so let me close this down. Let's move to having a look at the questions that have come in and seeing if I'm able to help with any of these questions. Now, I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to help with all of them, but I will work my way through and see if I can pick any of those off. So I was asked very earlier on by Vince if it was being recorded. It has been recorded. And whoever's attended the webinar, I thought your spouses, your loved ones might want to watch it. We will send the recording out in the next 24 hours. And I will attach that document that might help you if you're a business owner or sole trader. If you don't need it, that's fine. But I'll send it out. Okay. So Wayne's asking me, I only have student properties. There is talk that students shouldn't have to pay their last term's rent. What's your opinion? Wayne, this is a tricky situation with student properties. The students aren't going to be living there, are not. However, they have signed a contract. And with most students, I'd hope for most people, you'll have guarantors. So if I have students in my properties, I always make sure the parents are guarantors. And I'd speak to the students and the parents, and I'd say it does need paying. What I'd probably recommend that you do is just be open, to saying instead of paying 3 full months, pay 50% for 6 months, or just work out a payment plan with them. It's far better to do that than get into confrontation with them. But I would say that they do need to pay. So okay. Okay, Netra is asking, hi Aaron, how can I claim for my tenant fees from my empty property? I had a landlord insurance, my tenant left last month and no hope of a new tenant for another 2 to 3 months. So Netra, you need to contact your insurance company. So if you've got landlord insurance, you need to reach out and contact them. They're obviously dealing with a lot of claims right now. Well, they're not obviously dealing with a lot actually, because there's not a lot of people in default yet. But they're getting prepared for that. They're dealing with a lot of inquiries about people taking out policies. By the way, if anyone's thinking of taking out landlord insurance policy, the majority have now put in a disclaimer for COVID-19. So if your tenant doesn't pay, so don't rush and take out an insurance policy. Make sure it covers COVID-19 within it, basically. Okay. So okay, Mustafa's asked a question. So just to clarify, if wages are 10k per annum, will the government pay 8k? So Mustafa, yeah, that's right. So if it's you or you've got a tenant and you need to be put in furlough, or they need to be put in furlough. If they're just laid off, the government are not going to pay. But if they're put in furlough, the exact detail is hopefully coming out tomorrow or in the next couple of days. Obviously, the government make these announcements. It takes time to then put it in place. But if you're put in furlough, the government will pay 8k. Now that wage, that income will come via your employer. So they will get paid the money and they will pass that money on to you. So it will appear in a normal pay slip. Basically, that's how that will work. Roger, I hope you're well. Roger's saying, one positive, I can now use my travel pass 24/7. Previously, I couldn't use it before 9:30. That is brilliant, Roger. And I know Roger is part of my VIP mentorship. But yeah, probably once we hit lockdown, you won't be able to use it at all, Roger. So that's probably the downside of that. But yeah, we've got to focus on the positives. We've got to focus on the good stuff that's happening right now. Okay. A lot of great feedback coming in from Bedanor. Yeah, Richard, I'll just specifically reach out to you. So he said, I love that bed and all model. Personally, I'm an all, but I get really frustrated with the bed people. So Richard, forgive me if I can be your coach, if that's okay. When you're getting frustrated, where are you living? You're back below the line. So when you get frustrated, you're blaming those flipping bed people for being below the line, and you've just dropped below the line as well. Okay. So it's a real skill set to go, do you know what? The fact they're below the line is because I've not been good enough to show them how to be below the line. I've not role modeled this well enough. I've not stepped up enough. And if you start from that place, you'll be amazed what you can suddenly do to impact those around you, and that then helps you. Okay. So thank you. Someone's just told me, I didn't know, but we've had lockdown. That's cool. Okay. Jamie's saying 40,000 coming from remortgage, where to buy? Okay, any recommendations? So Jamie, there's lots of great places to buy. So what you need to do, Jamie, is get educated. If you've asked for the done for you stuff, Jamie, the team will send that out, whether you're going to use that service or not. In there, we teach what are called the 6 C's. The 6 C's are my golden rules to make sure you only ever buy outstanding properties. And they literally help us funnel down to the towns and cities you'll buy on and the streets that you'll buy on. We've also got the 18 steps in my property mentorship, the 18 steps to literally identify the streets in the cities that are best to buy on. So you've mentioned Liverpool. There are some great streets in Liverpool to buy. There are also many that are not. And in lots of towns and cities, it's the same. So I'm not going to just chuck out a random piece. What I'd say is get more information and learn the skill set to find the right towns and cities and the right roads. Okay. Okay. Cool. So we've gone on lockdown. Thank you all for sharing that. But if we're on lockdown, like I repeat even more than I've already said, I repeat, now is the time to commit to your learning. You're not going to be able to travel. Some of you won't be able to work. Use this time. Use this time. If you can't travel and you can't work, use this time to upskill yourself. Okay, Felix is asking me, hi Aaron, I'm exchanging completely on a buy-to-let. I'd like to convert into a 6-bed HMO. Should I pull out as the builders may not to be able to do the extension work now till after the lockdown, and I'll be paying the mortgage of about 700 a month with no money coming in? Felix, what I recommend, you've spent the money that you've already spent and committed to it. I would personally still go ahead and buy. I'm a buyer. I know the market's going to drop, and some people say, well, pull out and wait till the market drops, find another deal. It takes so much effort to put these deals together and find them. I would probably still buy. Okay, if it's a £3 million house, it might be different because 10% of that's 300k. But I would probably still buy if it's 250k or less. Okay, And but what I would be doing, Felix, I would go to the vendor and say, because we're on lockdown, I want to exchange with completion in a couple of months' time, and push it as far out as you can for the completion, basically, because that will buy you the time to come out of this lockdown situation and be able to then deal with that. Okay. Mufti's asking, have you heard anything about the voluntary right to buy for housing associations? They were meant to make an announcement in April if there was a full rollout. No, Mufti, there's been nothing else on that, and I don't think we'll have anything else for quite a long time, to be honest with you. So all you people telling me that we've gone into lockdown means you were listening to Boris instead of me. I can't believe it. You were so distracted. But thank you for your feedback. Okay. Okay, Grace is saying, is it a good time to buy property now? I'd definitely be buying, Grace, but I would be getting ready. I'd be getting upskilled, and you're going to be putting your offers in about 3 months' time. June time is when you want to be putting your offers in. For the next 3 weeks, you can't view any anyway. So get upskilled, do your research. If you're going to use our done for you, get the information on that, and then you can go do that. Rob's saying, I have an eviction due next Tuesday. Do you think this will happen? Rob, I don't think it will, sadly. So, I mean, it will depend on the tenants. The tenants might have had enough. If there's an actual eviction date that's been set, you know, the bailiffs aren't going to go around there, but the tenants might move. They might have found another place and they might move. They might not. So if an eviction doesn't happen, the next course of action is to get bailiffs. And you're probably going to hit the challenge. They haven't made any announcements about bailiff visits, but I think what they'll do is they'll come back to you and say, can't do it for 3 months. So I know that's not what you want to hear, Rob, but I think that's the situation. That wouldn't stop me asking. It wouldn't stop me getting in contact and asking about that. But I would do that. So Angelo, hi, really hope you're well. So Angelo's asking a similar question. So what would you do if you were a few days away from exchange and completing right now, especially if the property needs refurbing? So that's the same as the answer I just gave just now, Angelo. So you want to still secure the deal, in my opinion, but you want to be exchanging with a delayed completion and pushing the completion back. The seller doesn't have a lot of other choice. If they live there already, they can't move because we're in lockdown. If they don't live there, they're not going to be able to sell it to anybody else. No one else is going to be able to look round it, so they're not going to like it. But you're sorted from that point of view. Okay. Similar questions coming in. So Neil, should I buy a house in the next 2 months? Happy to charge half price for the next 3 months. Sorry if you covered this. I had to speak to my staff urgently. Yeah, so Neil, I will be buying in about 3 months. So the recording's coming back out. I'll let you watch the recording back, but I would be buying in about 3 months' time. That's your time, Neil, to be getting in and buying properties, in my opinion. Okay, but that means do your due diligence now, especially if you're going to use a done for you service. If you're going to do it yourself, get upskilled now. Do all the learning you possibly can. Use this spare time you're going to have from traveling and other commitments. I know not everyone will have spare time. If you're a business owner, if you're a sole trader, you're going to be fighting with a lot of different challenges right now, but that will settle in the next week or two as we're all locked down. The lockdown is likely to last longer than 3 weeks, by the way. So we're likely to have lockdown and then come out and then go back in it. So yeah, but I would be looking at either upskill if you're going to do it yourself, or if it's done for you, get the help now, research now, choose your company in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then get on their sourcing list. So when these deals are available and it is the time to buy, you're buying those great deals. And if it's not the time for you to buy, then at that point, if it's not the time for you to buy, then you just delay them and it's not a problem. You've not lost any money. So that would be my recommendation for anybody that's thinking of buying right now and taking, moving forward on that basis. Okay. Thank you so much for the feedback I'm getting. Really, really great feedback. So I really, really appreciate that. So Grace, I think I've answered your question. You're saying I'm about to exchange this week. Is it wise to carry on? Exchange but delayed completion. Exchange but delayed completion. Neil's saying, do you think lenders will still want our business? We covered this a little bit, but yeah, lenders will want our business. Listen, in the next 3 weeks, lenders are sending everybody home. So lenders are going to try and work from home, but it's all private data, private information. In the next 3 weeks, they're not going to want your business. In the next 3 weeks, it's going to be difficult to work with a lender, okay? But once that is finished, once it is finished, these discussions, once lenders come out of that, they 100% want your business, how they make their money. So they will want to be lending after that, okay? Mark, thank you so much for your comments there, which I really, really appreciate. I know Mark is one of our done for you clients, and he's also joining my VIP program. He's but really encouraging, especially mental strength. It's really important, Mark. Really, it's probably the most valuable thing I covered this evening. And I know I'm here to be a property expert, but that mental strength is critical. Focus on the good. Focus on what you can control. He's put good in so many areas in life. Many thanks, Aaron. You consistently talk a lot of sense. Good to hear in these difficult times. I'm already on the list and now waiting for the properties. So better times ahead. Absolutely, Mark. Absolutely better times ahead. Okay. So, okay, Julia's left, so I won't answer that now. We'll answer that separately. By the way, if you've answered any questions and I don't get to answer them live here, my team will reach out and make sure that any questions get answered. We're all working. We're working from home, but we are all working. My whole team is still available and working from home. Awesome. Thank you, David, for your comments. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Richard's asking, do we still need to get annual checks to gas boilers? So, Richard, there's been no clear guidance on this. The bottom line is if you're trying to get that check done and you can't get it done and you've got evidence of that, you are protected. So, with lockdown, the plumber's likely to go, I can't go. That's their call. But I would reach out to the plumber to say, I've got an annual check due. It's due on this date. Are you going? They'll probably come back and go, I can't go. And you've got that email thread, or get that thread. If it's on your phone, get a photo of it. And that's your evidence in case the boiler blows up the week after. It's not going to, is it? People normally don't get their own residential boiler checked every year. So if it tips over a bit, don't worry, but try and get it done. And if you can get them done, get them done. But obviously not while we're in lockdown. We need to distance ourselves from each other. This is critical, that we distance ourselves from each other right now, and that we follow the advice that we're being given, because it's only that way that we can get across this. Okay. Mustafa's saying the done for you service multiples of 40k, can that investment come from my investors? Absolutely, Mustafa. So we have clients of ours who go to an investor and say, I'll make you 5% return on your money. The client goes, that's amazing. Their person goes, that's amazing because I'm earning nothing in the bank. So you pay them 5% and then you invest the money with us and we build a portfolio. And we build you a portfolio in your name. You use the profits from the portfolio, the cash flow, to pay them the 5%, and the houses go up in value and they're your houses. So we have people doing that kind of thing all the time. In fact, an investor invested this evening with that very strategy that had already invested with us before, but now they're helping their family members with their money as well. Manya's saying, do I have a good tax advisor? Absolutely, Manya, I do. Sorry, Maria, I think it's Maria. Yeah, absolutely, I do, Maria. We have a tax webinar. If you ask my team when they speak to you for the tax webinar, then you can watch that, and that will then push you on to the tax advisors. Okay. Me Ling is asking, what if I have a buy-to-let mortgage application in place right now? So the banks will continue to process those. The odds are, now we're in lockdown, that no valuations will take place. So the valuation is not going to take place over the next 3 weeks, but they will continue to process. So you basically watch this space in effect to see when they get the valuation done, but they will continue to process your application that's already in place. Richard's saying, if I take a payment holiday, then won't the interest simply be added later and I have to pay a higher amount? So Richard, yes, if you take a payment holiday for 3 months, the interest will be added to the loan. So if you've got plenty of cash and you don't need to build your moat, then you don't necessarily need to take the holiday. But if you think about that interest being added, let's say there's £1,000 a month of interest payments in your portfolio, and you have a 3-month holiday, that's £3,000 that's been added. That's £3,000 that's now in your bank instead of on the mortgage, in your bank account instead of being paid to the mortgage company. The mortgage balance has gone up by 3K. It's as if you refinanced and took out £3,000 without any cost to do so. Personally, whenever I can refinance and take money out, I do, because if I've got the cash, I can invest it and get more properties. So I'd rather take the payment holiday to keep the cash in my own pocket. If I ran that a bit quickly for you, apologies, but I know Richard, and hopefully that'll make sense. Okay. Ali's asking a great question. He's saying, can we use the property sourcing service to get deals sent out to us, and after we choose, then we go ahead and buy them? Ali, we're a bit different to that. So there are sources out there that do that, okay? And they just send a deal. They don't worry about how good the deal is. Some of them are very good, by the way. I'm not knocking them, but they don't worry about how good the deal is. They send it out to a list of 10,000 people and someone takes it, okay? You can do that. What we do at the Insight Group is we work with people to build portfolios. So we ask you for a commitment. We ask you to look into how we do things. We ask you to look at the strictness of our rules and exactly what rules we have in place. And when you've done all of that research and you say, yeah, I want to work with you, we'll ask you to pay your sourcing fee up front. Now, you'll pay your sourcing fee up front, but it's 100% refundable if we don't get you a property that you like, if we don't get you a property that meets all the rules that we promised, and if you just change your mind, it's also refundable. So you pay that sourcing fee up front, you're on our list. If in 3 months' time you haven't seen a deal that you like or you don't want to go ahead, you just ask for your money back and your money's fully refundable. So then you get to see those deals in the way that you're describing. But every deal we send out meets our rules. So everybody buys the deals that are sent to them because they meet the rules and the rules have been agreed up front. So it's totally different to us just randomly sending you deals out. But we don't want to just buy you 3 or 4 or 5. We want to buy you 10 or 15 or 20 over the coming years. That's how we work with people. Okay. Bikram says, how do you work with tenants if they genuinely cannot pay rent next month? Bikram, the bottom line is if they genuinely cannot pay, then just help them to claim some benefits. Help them get on the phone and claim the benefits. Help them, if they are employed, to claim furlough and explain that to them. And bottom line, if they can't pay, they can't pay. But you can't kick them out. You can serve yourself your notices as a backup plan, your Section 21 and your Section 8 as a backup plan if they're over 8 weeks behind for Section 8. But say to them, look, this is just a backup plan. You've obviously missed this month. You might miss next month. But if you can get back in work, you know, maybe they can go work in the food stores. They're recruiting people. But if you can get back in work, then you can pay me this back later. Don't worry about this for now. Focus and get them in a positive place. Stop focusing about the problems you've got financially. Let me help you. Let me help you take a break from your council tax. Let me help you focus on getting a job. Let me help you claim your benefits, and they'll pay you back. You know, what I mean, they'll pay you back. They'll do what they can. They'll pay you back as a human being, and they'll do what they can. Okay. Okay, Ryan's asking a great question. So Ryan's in rent to rent, and he's doing rent to serviced accommodation, I think. So hospitality industry, and then they're not going to be able to pay their rent, basically. So he's saying, can I defer my council tax or be council tax free? Ryan, if you're registered for rates at your property, so many serviced accommodation properties are not. Many holiday lets, my holiday lets, all are registered for rates rather than council tax. So if you're registered for rates, then you're going to qualify in the hospitality sector. You're going to qualify for the rates relief, and there are grants available as well in that hospitality sector. So my holiday lets, for example, they're available. If it's serviced accommodation, then probably not. If you're not registered for rates, then you're not. But what you can do is speak to your council tax people and say it's not affordable. I'm not going to be able to pay it. I'll start paying you again in June, but I can't pay you right now. And what will happen is they'll write you a letter at the beginning of May saying you didn't pay April, you need to pay. They'll write you another letter a fortnight later. Then eventually they'll start threatening you if they do that. How many people are not going to be paying the council tax? Are they going to be rushing to do that? And they're going to all be in lockdown at home anyway. So for me, I would look to cancel the council tax and see if you can kind of defer it and start paying it again in June or whenever that may be. And then you put it over 10 payments and it's spread out across the period. Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm aware of time, but I am aware there's more questions still coming in. Okay. I'm going to answer another couple of questions, and then I'm really sorry, but with the lockdown announcement, I have got some plans I need to make for my teams to help them tomorrow, and how we deal with viewings and everything. I've got a letting agency with 1,000+ properties. We've already got plans in place, but I just need to check them and touch them with my teams. And there are other business owners that are asking a lot for my help. As I glance at my phone, I can see a lot of people ringing me and texting me asking for help. So, okay. So actually, I'm going to need to draw a line there. So I really hope you've enjoyed the webinar. I hope you've got great value out of it. I thank you for coming on it. I am going to run another very similar webinar on Thursday night. So if anybody, if any of your friends or family miss this webinar, you can, when my team reach out to you, you can just ask them for the link to join Thursday night. We won't automatically invite you to Thursday night because you've already attended this, so we're not going to invite you to the same one again. But if you've got friends, family who'd like to attend it live on Thursday and ask their own questions, then they can do. So please feel free to get them to do that. Those of you interested in us helping you with education, those of you interested in helping you with the done for you approach, my team will be reaching out to you and they will be looking to help you to do that. Okay. So they will be ringing from a Scarborough number, which is 01723. So we're not British Gas chasing you for the bill. We're not some random stranger. An 01723 number is my team calling you as you have asked. If you're a maybe, we'll email you the information. And then a Skipton number, the mortgage, those of you that wanted help from the mortgage company, that will be coming from a Skipton number. And those of you that want to, were a maybe from them, they'll email and give you their details as well. So listen, guys, the bottom line is you choose how you feel. Please try and focus on the good in the world. Please, I get this is such a tough time. I get there's awful stuff happening physically, emotionally, financially. I get it's not a good place, but we can focus on the bad. We can focus on the good. It's a choice. It's not always easy to choose, but the more you choose to focus on the good, the more you choose to focus on what you can control, the better you will feel. And from a property point of view, grab this opportunity. How often do we get to actually be shut at home and not have to commute to work and not have to do these other things? Of course, if you're on this call and you're on that front line, you are our heroes. You are the people, you know, we will be so thankful for generations to come, fighting this on the front line. And you know, if we can do anything to help you as a business, then please reach out and let me and my team know, and we're absolutely here to help. Okay. So anyway, bottom line, take care of yourselves, take care of your families, invest with knowledge, invest with confidence, create financial freedom. I'll speak to you soon. Thanks a lot. Take care, guys. Thank you.